What is up, guys? This is Miasin. I hope you guys are doing great. I know I am because I'm going to show you guys my EXODIA deck. This deck is extremely interesting because we've got a new wave of support that especially, I mean, it's not really EXODIA cards, but rather like a Millennium sub-archetype in a way that also is correlated to the EXODIA cards. You can play with one single card, so it's not like you have to rely on like 10 billion cards in order to play the game. And once you summon that fusion monster, you get yourself multiple interruptions, and then you get like a really nasty follow-up that basically makes you kill your opponent. So this deck is really cool. Anyways, before I proceed to show you guys the combos as well as the deck profile, friendly reminder to smash the like and subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot. Thank you so much. And if this video can get to 1,000 likes, which I feel like we can get there, I will be making a live stream on EXODIA. And I know you want that to happen, so smash the like button right now. Thank you so much, my man. You are the best. And now let's get into combo number 1. So assuming that you draw like Shield or even the level 8 monster, basically just one card combos, there's many ways of getting there. Every path leads to Rome because this deck is quite consistent. Look at what you can do. So you're going to be placing the Shield, and then you're going to be special summoning it. That is going to be searching the Millennium Cross. This card is really interesting. So you show 5 Forbidden 1 monsters from your hand, deck, and or face of field. Monster cards, sorry, not even just monsters. So even if your monsters are in the spell and trap zone, they're still considered Forbidden 1 monster cards. You show them, and then you special summon the Phantom EXODIA Incarnate from your extra deck, and then you shuffle back every monster card on your field that isn't like an EXODIA monster card or a Millennium or Sengijin. And also you can out-summon monsters for the rest of the turn, but you can normal set. So in other words, you can't really like play a really aggressive engine in this deck and like combo first or combo after. You can only really just summon EXODIA cards and Millennium cards, and there's obviously not that many, so you can't really summon anything from the extra deck. Everything will be shuffled, which is a little annoying. Unfortunately, otherwise this deck would be like tier negative infinite, even though you have to place a lot of bricks in order to make it work. Show all your Forbidden 1 monsters and then summon the Phantom EXODIA Incarnate. This card's insane. Cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, and then once per turn, if it battles, during the damage calculation, you can make it gain attack equal to your current life points. So obviously, the more life points you have, the better it is. And then once per turn, during either player's turn quick effect, you get to negate the activation of a spell or trap card or effect. So that's actually pretty good. And then once per turn during either player's end phase, you get to set either an Exodo spell or trap or obliterate it directly from the deck. And then on your standby phase, you lose 1,000 life points, mandatory effect. So it gets weaker every turn. But that is a-okay because one turn is all we need to kill. So we're going to be passing turn. Obviously, this deck is immune to Nibiru. It's immune to Shifter. It's immune to a lot of hand traps for slightly obvious reasons. It's also immune to Imperm because there is, I mean, nothing to Imperm, and you can even negate it with the Phantom EXODIA Incarnate. But anyways, you're going to be setting the Exodo Flame, and then that can negate every card, that can destroy every card your opponent controls. So it's actually a pretty scary card. Granted, you control a level 10 or higher EXODIA monster. And that has another graveyard effect where you can banish it and either recycle back or search a Forbidden 1 monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, or shuffle back up to 5 Forbidden 1 monsters from your graveyard or banished into the deck. They say banishment, and it's so freaking annoying, man. Hopefully it's not going to become like an official term. Anyways, so you're obviously going to have 2 interruptions here, again, off of one single card, so that's not too bad. So our opponent summons a bunch of Snake Eye monsters. We can go into the Exodo Flame to destroy everything. And then even if our opponent has a spell card that can be used, we can just negate it for free using the Phantom God Incarnate. And then during the end phase, we're going to be setting the Exodo Blaze, and this is how we're going to be going for game next turn. Now we're going to be drawing, and we need to draw like, well, we at least need to be able to place any card in the spell and trap zone if we want to go for the OTK combo that I will showcase. So on the standby phase, you take 1,000 life points. And then you're going to be activating the Exodo Blaze and give your Phantom EXODIA Incarnate the ability to destroy at least one spell or trap card, or at least one card in your spell and trap zone, in order to equip up to 5 Forbidden 1 monsters from, I believe, your hand or deck to it. And for each Forbidden 1 monster, it gains 2,000 attack. And it also makes it so that it deals piercing damage when it attacks a monster in defense. So your opponent will not be saved by just summoning by setting a monster. So look at this. We're going to now have 5 Forbidden 1 monsters in the spell and trap zone, which is kind of cracked, which means our Phantom EXODIA Incarnate has 10,000, and is going to be gaining even more attack during the damage step because of its own ability in order to gain attack equal to its our life points. So we have 2,500 life points, meaning that it will have 12,500 attack. We are one-punching the opponent after a double interruption using a one-card combo. So you could have drawn the Shield, the Millennium Shield, or the Millennium Cross, or any other card. There's, again, infinite combos in order to make it work, but They're not like super complicated. You can be like a 6-year-old kid and know how to play this deck. It's pretty nice, but that's it for combo number 1 in a way. Let's get into combo number 2. Alright, so first of all, I kind of want to mention that those aren't combos, but rather flow of execution, because you're never really doing anything crafty like summon from your extra deck. Lithium actually did make a video where he played with, you know, the Jet Synchron package and Diabellstar and Wanted. I think that's really cool. That's really interesting, because you can summon Omega, and then you banish it, and then it doesn't matter if your Millennium Cross makes you shuffle back all the cards, all the monster cards that you control that aren't Exodia or Millennium, because the Omega did what it had to do, which is make your opponent lose a card from the hand. And also, he draws some cards with Coral Dragon and everything, and the Wanted. So it's not too bad. It also increases the ceiling, but I really wanted to play this deck pure with Dimension Shifter, because I do believe that this is one of the ways that you can actually beat the meta, because I want to play as many non-engine cards as possible, so this deck is realistic and can actually scare people, because otherwise, like, if you play 0 non-engine, unfortunately, you can't really go second. So now we got 2 hand traps with an Exodia piece. It's kind of like a brick, but you can actually use it at your advantage in order to make it work, as well as Golem that guards the Millennium Treasures and Millennium Cross. Physically, hard drawing this card is good, because now you get to use the effect of your Millennium Monsters without having to pay 2,000 life points. You have the choice of either paying 2k or revealing a Millennium Cross in your hand. So this is the reason why drawing this card is nice. So yeah, first action, use the effect of your Millennium Monster. The Shield, the Sengenjin, and the Golem, they all have the same ability, as well as the level 4 monsters, but they suck. So yeah, now you're going to be revealing the Millennium Cross, and also reveal the Shifter in order to navigate your way around Jewel and Logbird, because that card has to be sent from the hand to the graveyard. It's not a discard. So under Shifter, Jewel and Logbird cannot be used. So we're going to be searching for the Shrine of Wedju. This card is kind of similar in a way to like Divine Temple of the Snake Eyes, or the Centurion Field Spell. So you can place a monster from your hand in your spell and trap zone, and then after that you place a Millennium Monster or Sengenjin from your deck face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. So no, in other words, this deck has no synergy with the Centurions, because the Centurions have to be continuous trap cards to special summon themselves. And the other effect that this card has is whenever your Millennium Monsters would be destroyed, they are placed in the spell and trap zone instead. So you can keep using them again and again and again. That's pretty cool. Anyways, now you're going to be placing the Exodia piece in the spell and trap zone, and also place the Caveman. So this card is the Retrain of Sengenjin, and it's a Strato, so you can search any Millennium Monster from your deck to your hand. That's pretty nice. So again, we reveal the Millennium Cross, we don't take any damage, or rather, we don't play any life points. And then we search for the Millennium Shield, which can search the Millennium Cross. And then we're going to be using the Cross in order to special summon the Phantom Exodia Incarnate. Alternatively, we could have summoned the Incarnate in the extra monster zone, and then the Shield in column number 5, so that we don't really care too much about Relinquished Anima. This is probably the safer play in going in blind. But if you know what your opponent is playing, and then you know that he's not playing the Relinquished Anima, that's fine. And this is 4 summons, so again, Nibiru is not a threat. Drool is also not something that you have to be afraid of. And if you hard drew the Cross, it's not like you have to be afraid of Ash either, because the Shield of Millennium Dynasty, it does unfortunately lose out to Ash, but again, it's fine if you drew this card. And we are under Shifter, so it's not like your opponent can do too much. And next turn, it's a guarantee that you're going to be going for game because of the Exodo, I think it's Blaze or something, the quick play spell card. So you know for a fact you will be killing your opponent. And that is quite nasty. And we also have a bunch of monsters on the board. We can summon from the extra deck if we don't want to go for another Millennium Cross. So we can do all kinds of things. Anyways, that's it for the combos. Let's get into the deck profile. Alrighty, so for the deck list, exactly as I mentioned, I wanted to play as many non-engine cards as possible, while also maximizing the amount of consistency in engine cards, because I don't want to brick and I don't want to lose going second. That is my main concern, and I don't want to treat this deck as a combo deck or as a hybrid deck. I really wanted to stay loyal to the true and pure nature of this deck, which is Exodia Millennium. So obviously, if you want to make this deck like a combo version, then you might as well just play other engines, but I don't think it's optimal because, again, every single engine just feels like it conflicts with Millennium Cross, and that was my problem when I was testing. But yeah, Dimension Shifter, this is actually a really nice deck in this deck because it doesn't really need the graveyard too much. Shoutouts to Dalton for telling me about this, so I really like this card. It's nice. I mean, every deck loses to this card almost, so. Anyways, 3 Ash, obviously it's just generic. 3 Imperm, 3 Super Poly. So 9 hand traps and then a board breaker that you can also excavate with Prosperity. Fenrir is the only card that isn't really a hand shot, but also not like a board breaker per se. Because in simplified game state, I guess Fenrir is one of the best cards that you can rely on. If you really want to, you can play like a hand shot instead. It's really up to you. And then the 5 pieces of EXODIA, unfortunately, they are bricks. It's not like they do anything crazy. You really just use them to like serve as like reveal fodder for your Millennium Cross. But apart from that, I guess you can use them with Obliterate, and this card is really interesting. So you get to Foolish or discard in a Forbidden Monster EXODIA card from your hand or deck to the grave, and then bounce back a monster on the field every single turn. It's a continuous trap card, so it sticks around. And then if it is sent from the field to the graveyard, you get to search your deck for a Forbidden 1 Monster EXODIA card. Sorry, actually, that's even better. You recycle back from the graveyard to the hand. So yeah, that's yeah, I mean, in a way that's better, but at the same time, these cards aren't even EXODIA cards, so it's not even that much better. These are Exodo spells and traps, like the Exodo Flame and Exodo Blaze, which, by the way, I side deck this card. Anyways, for the 1-card starters, I play, that is 15, so 3 Golem that guards the Millennium Treasures, as well as 3 Shrine of Wedju, so in other words, 6 copies of the field spell. The field spell can place either the Caveman or the Shield, or I guess the Golem, but that would make no sense. Usually you're placing one of these 2 monsters. If you don't have the Millennium Cross, you're trying to place the Shield because you don't want to go through an extra step of going into Caveman and then Shield, because then you're paying 4,000 life points, which is way too expensive, unfortunately. We're playing all of these 1-card starters. Again, Millennium Shield is the one that makes you pay the least amount of life points. So in a way, it is the best one. And then Caveman is obviously the jack of all trades. Like, it searches anything you want, so that's the reason why it's also insane, but it does make you also pay 2,000 life points. Granted, again, you do not have the Millennium Cross, and Millennium Cross is so extremely important that there is no way in hell I can play less than 3 copies of this card, because if my Shield gets ashed, I at least want to be able to access my Millennium Cross by other means, so either by hard drawing this card or by digging into it using Prosperity. So that was my logic behind it. Almost half of our decks are cards that make us play the game. Even the Fenrir ain't too bad, and then again, a lot of ways to play going second. And going first, the only targets for the Exodo Flame, at least on game 1, would be Obliterate as well as Raging Hellfire Exodo Flame. But alternatively, you could also replace Obliterate with the Exodo Blaze. This card's also pretty good, but it's a going second card only, or it's a card for your follow-up when you want to go for game. But you can also go for game using the Millennium Monsters, which also have a decent amount of attack and can apply pressure in their own way. So yeah, 40 cards in the main deck, gotta keep it very clean and minimalistic. And then for the extra deck, 2 Phantom Exodia Incarnate, you could also bump this card up to 3, it's really up to you. But again, you usually close games out really quickly, so it doesn't even matter that much. 1 Omega, which is a card that you can make using, I have no idea actually. Oh yeah, Ash and Shield. Yeah, so it's one of the only synchros that you can really make that has true value. And then 5 Super Poly targets, so Earth Golem Adagnister, Dragon Knight Draco Equist, Guilty Gearfried. The Dragon Knight is pretty good against the Mana Dome deck, and then Earth Golem Adagnister pretty good against Farking and just Link-based decks in general. You could fuse away like IP Masquerade and Deco Talker Heat Soul, so even when they're playing around Super Poly, they're still playing into it. And then Guilty Gearfried, obviously just good in general against like Baron de Fleur and SP Little Knight, for example. Muddragon of the Swamp, that's probably one of the best Super Poly targets, and Garura pretty much tied with Muddragon. And then finally Typhon, you don't really need the extra deck all that much. For the Link monsters, it's really just Toolbox, so access code with a Celine, a bunch of Spellcaster monsters that you can revive, so either you're a Shifter or any Exodia piece. Nothing else really. And then Alsa, because you're playing a bunch of Earth monsters, all the Millennium monsters, as well as Fenrir. Dark, because your Forbidden 1 monsters are all Dark monsters. And then finally SP Little Knight and Relinquished Anima. For the idea section, because I couldn't bother making a side deck, it's too much of a hassle. I considered Millennium Fiend Reflection, but it honestly just sucks. It's not a good card. So yeah, stay far away from that card. Ghost Sister is actually so freaking interesting in this deck because life points actually matter for once here, because the attack of your Exodia Incarnate is proportional to the amount of life points that you have. So obviously, the more life points you have, the powerful this card is. And Ghost Sister makes you gain a lot of life points, and it could be good in time and stuff like that. In a deck where you keep losing life points, so at least this allows you to stay alive. And I honestly liked it a lot, so Ghost Sister is one of the only hand traps I might potentially even consider main decking, at least in this unique deck. It would at least make a little bit of sense. And then Exodo Blaze, which again, you can main deck if you want to. And there can only be one. Honestly, a very interesting card, because everything is a different type. You got a Spellcaster monster in the form of the Fusion, And then you got a Rock here, a Warrior, and a Beast Warrior, and a Psychic even with Fenrir. So yeah, you really do not get punished by your own There Can Be One whatsoever, but it's an unsearchable one of, so do you really want to rely on it? I don't know. Anyways, that's it for my EXODIA Millennium deck profile and combo video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts about this deck in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.